Hello, welcome. I'm here again today to do a little live saying hi to everybody. If you're watching now, you're probably watching on replay somewhere because it takes a little while for the live people to come and join. Welcome, Chris. Hi, lovely to see you. Waiting for a few people to join in. I hope you've all had a good day. I've just been rushing around getting ready. I actually went out of the house to see someone today, someone who gives me loads of inspiration, who is just really creative and lovely, and it was so nice getting out and seeing the real humans and being part of a really good conversation and having that connection that I think we all really crave, and I think we've all been, well, I know a number of us have been missing that connection, that real human stuff, having been working from home for quite some time. So my plan for today is not a very long one. I wanted to talk to you about a few things. So some updates on everything WorkJoy. I'll start with those as people join in. And then a subject that I really wanted to talk about was this thing about how we misassociate things in our minds and how we then tell ourselves the stories that really aren't particularly helpful to us. But first of all, let me give you a few updates on where we are at. We're in the penultimate week of season 2 of the WorkJoy Jam podcast. If you haven't checked out this season or you need to catch up, go do it. They're available on Anchor, on Spotify, on Apple, really wherever you get your podcast apps. And they're also all on YouTube if that's of any help to anybody as well. Go and have a listen. Some really interesting things with Denise Nurse. She's a real inspiration. I really enjoyed our conversation, so do go and have a listen. And then next week we are joined by Chet Moragia, author of Work Worth Doing, amazing coach and advisor to entrepreneurs all over the world. And we have a really great conversation based around some of the things in his book, around his manifesto about work and what's important and worth doing, and some of the myths and things that associate around those things. So I hope you really enjoy that. And sneak preview, next season will launch on the 11th of October. So we're going to take a few weeks off, get everything sorted out and get ready to launch the new season on the 11th of October. And that will go right up until December. It's a short season this time to fit it into that time frame. And I am so excited about some of the people we have to share with you in season 3. Some really different, interesting perspectives on things, from people who design board games to people who are experts in visual facilitation, and all kinds of wonderful humans to listen to. So from the 11th of October you will be able to you'll be able to listen to our podcasts. And if you haven't noticed already, if you are ever in the need or want to read the transcripts instead of listening, if you go onto the website and click on the podcast page, you will be able to click in, and for season 1 already, they're already there. Season 2 coming soon, season 3 when they're ready. You'll be able to actually look at the transcripts if that is an easier thing for you to do. So yeah, if that helps, go make that happen. So season 2 nearly done, season 3 all recorded, coming out from the 11th of October. And I've even now got 3 people signed up for season 4. So I am looking for people. Who do you think is interesting? Who would you like to hear from? How can I bring some inspiration to you through the people I talk to? I would love for you to tell me. So do let me know. Pop some things in the comments, send me an email, send me a direct message on any of our social apps. I would love to know who you are interested in talking to. Some of the people I've got lined up already are professional athletes and somebody who's a real expert in this digital wellness stuff and how to manage your online world. And for me, I think it's such an important one. I want to learn stuff about this, and I think many of you might too. So next thing, that was the podcast, WorkJoy Way coaching program. We've just embarked on week 2 of the 16 weeks with our autumn cohort. Such a great group of wonderful humans. Today we've all been sharing pictures of our dogs. Seems to be a bit of a theme for this connection. Here we go, I'm back in. So yeah, theme for this cohort seems to be around everyone's got dogs, which is lovely because, as you know, I love to see a picture of a dog, all the joy. And week 2, what we're doing is we're starting to track. We're thinking, what is it that brings us some joy? What is it that's bringing us some gloom? What's going on there? And just noticing what happens throughout each day. So really exciting things to do. And we'll be moving on to the experiments and the group coaching and the one-to-one coaching over the next few weeks. And we are now, if you're interested, for next year, for 2022, we're planning 2 cohorts for next year, so limited numbers, maximum 16 people over those 2 sessions, so 8 in each. One will be starting in February, one will be starting in September, so there'll be a spring and an autumn cohort again. If you are interested and want to get signed up early, give me a shout. I'll really happily spend some time with you, talking to you about the programme, seeing if it's the right thing for you, seeing if I'm the right coach for you, and having some conversations. So dates officially to be announced, but if you want to talk to me now, come and have a chat. It'd be lovely to speak with you. And then the other thing, which we're going to talk about more in a couple of weeks' time, but I wanted to tell you, is that from next week, so from the 15th, next Wednesday, I'm going to open the doors early for some early bird offers to join Club WorkJoy. And if you haven't already seen Club WorkJoy or heard anything about it, let me give you the basics. So Club WorkJoy is going to be a community of people who come along and join the club, who really want to do this work of creating and cultivating joy in their life. They want to get inspired. They want to connect with other people. They want to have some conversations, do some networking. So within Club WorkJoy, you get a number of things. The first thing is that every month, on a Zoom, I'm going to be bringing you an amazing live speaker that will do some talking, but also answer your questions. It'll be really interactive. There's 12 already set up. If you go and look on the website, you'll be able to go and see who these people are. We have people who've been on the podcast. We've got different people, new people. So really interesting speakers from a range of different topics, from things like, you know, how to reignite your career, or if you're looking for a new job, what to do there, how to work out what your values are, if that's something that you really want to work on, how to run a really good meeting or take part in a really good meeting. So really different subjects, and ones that I really hope you will enjoy. I've been thinking hard about this over the last few months, thinking about what is it that you want to hear about, and we've got so many opportunities over the next year and beyond to hear from amazing speakers. So that's once a month. Every 2 months, which I can never work out, is that bi-monthly, or is that does that mean twice a month? My brain can't quite work that one out. But every other month we're going to do facilitated networking, and this is going to be in a really lovely, friendly environment with people from different organisations who you probably wouldn't have the chance to meet without being part of something like this. We're going to set some questions. I'm going to be the host. You're going to have a chance to have conversations, to get to know people. And a bit like I was saying earlier on, one of those things that I've really missed out on is that connection with other humans. And I'm hoping that this will help you, if you're interested, to get connected with some people, to see how other people are experiencing things. So many people that I work with, when they get to meet other people and talk to other people and go, oh, we're in the same boat. I wasn't going completely insane. It wasn't actually just me who thinks like this, or it's not just me who's struggling with something. So that's a really great part of it as well. Every week we'll put a message out there on the app, so there's an app that comes with it where you can connect and have conversations with other people, so there's like a social element to it. And every week on that I will also be asking you to ask me any questions, and by the end of the week, that'll happen on Monday, by the end of the week I will either have responded to what your questions are in writing, that's my random typing hands, forgive them, or I'll do a video to explain my thinking. And I might not have the answers for everything, but I'll tell you what my perspective is, any examples I've got, maybe some advice if that's the right thing to do. So that's going to happen in the app. And then the other thing that you get is, as Club WorkJoy members, if you want some coaching with me, you get discounted coaching rates that you can all book through the app as well. So lots of stuff to come on Club WorkJoy. I'd really love it if you came and joined. It's going to be a really lovely space. It's starting already, and I'm very, very excited about it. So they were some WorkJoy updates in general. And then the topic I just wanted to bring up today and talk about is a really sticky one, and one that I'm finding lots of people are challenged with at the moment, or it's a topic that I hear a lot about, or things that are coming up. And this is what I'm calling like the misassociation of stuff in our brain. And give me 1 minute, I'll just take a sip of water so I can keep talking to you. So, one of the examples I have here is when we're finding things difficult or hard or sticky, or if things aren't quite at that, it's not working yet zone. One of the things that we often do is we say to ourselves, I must be doing something wrong. It must feel hard because I'm not good enough at this, because I'm not experienced enough at this, because I can't do this, because I'm not good enough. Something about me isn't right. And although there might be, let's be self-aware here, there might be some situations where that is true, I often find that the people who really think quite deeply about that stuff are the people who actually, if there were a development need, if there were a skill you need to go and do, they're the people who are doing that work. So the question for me is less about, actually, is that true, but more about, let's explore what we're really saying when we say that. So if you're thinking something is hard, something is difficult, something isn't as easy as it should be, maybe it's a project or a relationship, or maybe it's something that you need to do at work and you can't quite make it happen, is rather than turning inwards, rather than looking at ourselves and going, how am I to blame for this? How am I to beat myself up over this being difficult? It's to maybe take a more neutral view on it. So not to say that you're wonderful, no, it's everyone else, and not to start blaming other people, but to take the blame out of it. Just to take that out and say, this is not a situation where we need to blame anything. Things can be really, really difficult. There's stuff in this world is so complicated, so complex, that it's almost impossible that we would be able to do these things just like that. Stuff in this world, relationships are challenging, different people, different styles, different ways of working. Just because we're good at stuff doesn't mean that we can always make these things happen or make them easy. And I think instead of turning inwards and looking for blame, looking for somebody to kind of go, usually ourselves, to go, this is my fault. It's my fault this project isn't working. It's my fault we haven't been able to do this. I am not good enough. Most people I know who are in this state have boundless skills. They have loads of energy. They have a real ability. They have donkey's years worth of experience. But they're finding a way to blame themselves for stuff that's hard. And when I was thinking about this with someone the other day, I was thinking, is it not just possible that some things are just difficult? That some things are just hard? That some things aren't designed to be easy? And that maybe if we stopped and accepted that some things are just difficult, and accepted that it's going to be a hard slog, and really understood what the challenge is, that we might be able to summon more energy for it. We might be able to work with the problem versus making it doubly hard by adding more baggage to the problem with our disgust, it's not quite the right word, with the way that we're turning up for ourselves. What if instead of beating ourselves up about it, we said, this is hard, I'm going to go and get some help. Or this is hard, let's talk about why this is hard. Or this is hard and it's going to be hard until we get to this point, because we're in the sticky bit. You know, that bit of a project where we're in a sticky middle where everything seems to be hard work and nothing has become something yet. And you know from your years and years of experience and history and practice that there is a point beyond this where you know it's going to get better, so you can actually be more hopeful about it. And one of the things I think about WorkJoy, and I always say it's like a hopeful place, and WorkJoy doesn't mean you feel joyful every single day or every single minute of every single day. In some ways that would be really annoying, because you need the highs and lows of life to really experience joy in the bigger sense of it. But perhaps you could look at, actually there is hope beyond this, because I know that when we work through it, when we get there, we'll get there. Now, sometimes It might just be, this is one part of my job that is hard and difficult. And that might be a difficult stakeholder, customer relationship, whatever it is somehow accepting that, but in the neutral terms. So saying, I'm accepting that this is difficult. Difficult isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just a challenging thing we're dealing with. So many of you have such big and challenging jobs that the idea that you could just do all of it like, it's so easy, is probably a little bit, well, it's just not going to happen, is it? So either you're working through something because you know at the other end there's some joy, or you're working with it, knowing what it is, understanding that it's challenging, but not using the challenge that is to be hard on yourself. And I think so many people talk about like being kind to yourself and, you know, be good enough at these things. And it's so hard sometimes to take that advice. So rather than thinking about be kind to yourself, just think about being neutral about it. So you're not saying you're wonderful. You're not saying, oh, isn't it really hard? You're not saying, aren't you brilliant at this? What you're saying is, this is hard. I'm accepting this is hard. It is not all about me and my skill, the reason why this is hard. And I'm going to do the best I can to make it as easy as possible whilst accepting that. And if I need to get help, I'm going to take action to get help. If I need to learn something new, I'm going to take action to do it. If I need to get somebody else involved because somebody else is an expert at this thing, I'm going to go and seek that out. If I need to read a book or do something, I'm going to do things. So what you're doing is you're actually taking one step at a time. And that step might be just acceptance. That step might be, this is just hard. And do you know what? A lot of people find this stuff hard. It might be, have I made a mountain where a little molehill has stood because I've dramaed it up in my head what this is? So that was something I was thinking about. And then I thought about, is there the opposite of this? And I think there probably is. And that's we think it's easy, so we think it's good and we think we're good at it. And sometimes that's true. In fact, a lot of times, because we have experience and we work through things, things seem easier. Doesn't mean that they are actually easy. It means that we have maybe just made that happen because of our years of experience, because we've seen it before, because we have like the mental capacity to just repeat what we've done before. So maybe sometimes seem easy because we know them. And I think that's then about being really aware and being really empathetic to the idea that other people might find that hard. None of us are good at everything. Many of us are good at many things, but we're not all good at everything. So keep your eye out for the people who are finding stuff really hard, and maybe go and be the person that says to them, don't be hard on yourself, this stuff is difficult. How can I help you? Because I'm in a good place. Let me help you pull you out of the weeds. Let me help you. And that reciprocity is something that in WorkJoy is really fundamental to how we think about things. It's not just about what you get from other people. It's about how do you put yourself out there. Hello, Lemon and Lavender by Laura. Lovely to have your comments there, thank you. It sounds like you needed this today. It sounds like you maybe have a little bit of a challenge going on yourself. Just because it's hard doesn't mean that you're not good at it. You could be brilliant at it and still find it hard. And one of those things to think about is, what are the things in life that actually you may have a story in your head that tells you you're not good at something because it's hard, when actually you're not good at something because you don't like it. You don't like doing it. There are certain things in my world that I find hard that really aren't that hard when I look at them. I just don't really want to do them. And if I change my attitude towards that, I can often change how I feel about it and actually change how difficult something really is. Looking at things from a different perspective, getting a different opinion on it. And sometimes, and I think this is where Club WorkJoy is going to really come into it, sometimes just hearing someone else go, yeah, I do that myself, I find that really hard, can be just what you need to be able to make it through some of those more tricky situations. I find another thing, if you're in that situation, another thing you can do is to just think back through all the challenging things you've done before, and remember that you have got through 100% of all the challenges you've had in your life. You have made it through those things. So finding that inner understanding that you have got the resilience to make it through, even if it is difficult. even if it is ongoing, you will find a way to make it work for you. And those ways will be 100 different ways, because there's 100 different challenges, or a million different challenges, and many, many different ways to look at it. But my first thing is, stop. Don't make it about yourself, make it about the situation, and think about how can you approach this in the best possible way. How can you get support? How can you get what you need to maybe make it even a little bit easier? Is it that you need to think about it at a different time of day? Things like this, the tiny little things. If it's a big thing, do you need to address it first thing in the morning? If it's a big thing, do you need to get some other people on board? There are so many things that you can do, but you are much less likely to actually do them if what you're doing is blaming yourself, or giving yourself that kind of, oh, I'm terrible at this because this is really hard. And sometimes what you find as well is that working through the hard stuff at the end, or nearly at the end, when you've made it through, that is often where the kind of biggest spikes of joy happen, because you felt the low, so you can really feel the high. If we just feel like a mid-level of joy all the time, it's actually quite difficult to recognise it. So sometimes it's exactly what you need to build you up. And the final thing I would say on this one is, when you're working through those processes, keep reflecting on them. What have you learned by doing this? What have you been able to take away and make happen? What resilience have you built within yourself? How can you take this forward? I've just noticed there's thunder going on outside, so if you can hear that, how exciting. I love a thunderstorm, so now I'm extra excited. That would be one that gives me lots of life joy. I'm going to go outside in a minute and smell the ground, because the smell of a thunderstorm, one of the best smells in the world. So I have just rambled on for like 15 minutes about this topic, which came up earlier this week. And if you need it, just take a moment, stop blaming yourself. Stuff is hard. This world is challenging. Jobs are not easy. People are not easy. And what we tend to do is to do that looking inwards when things are hard. We blame ourselves and we forget to kind of look outward. And that means we're kind of stepping backwards. So little steps. Ask somebody. Google it. Find something you can do. And I always say that one little tiny step forward feels a million times better than standing still. Just do something with it. Get active. And I mean that in every possible sense of the word. So if you're stuck sitting at your computer, you're like this, you can't really see that, on my thing, trying to find an answer to something, try mentally moving, try mentally having a conversation, all of those things. Or get up and go for a walk, get up and get outside, go ride a bike, or go for a swim or something, because the physical movement of your body can often unblock your mind as well. I'm glad I'm not the only one who loves a bit of thunder and lightning. It's very exciting. So if you have any questions for me, if you're live, pop them in the comments now. If you're watching on replay and you have questions, pop them in the comments below, whichever social media you are reading, watching, listening, whatever the version is to this on. Sorry, I've had a very long day and my brain has been so excited all day seeing other humans that some of my ability to think and talk has slightly depleted quite a lot. So questions, do pop them in. I'll stay on for a little while to see if there's any questions coming through. And things to think about. So remember, go listen to the WorkJoy Jam podcast. If you're interested in the coaching program for next year, do give me a call. You can message me on any of the apps, or you can book a call with me through my website, totally free. Let's talk about it. And Club WorkJoy. Watch this space next Wednesday. It'll be all over our socials. There will be a discounted price for our early bird members. It will be so lovely for you to come and join. Much more to come in the club and across WorkJoy. So thank you all for joining in today. I am going to go and smell the outside from the thunderstorm. If anyone else is weird and likes to do that, go and do that too. I think I'll find it very, very refreshing on what's been a really, really hot kind of end of the summer day. And lots of people are talking about this week, aren't we? It's like the last bits of summer. And I know a lot of people are really sad about that. And I can't be, because one of my favourite things in the world, as well as thunderstorms, is the changing of the seasons. Like the firsts every year. So the first time you get your coat out in the autumn, the first time you have to wear a hat, the first time I have to put my wellies on to walk the dog, all of that stuff just makes me really, really excited. And I know that makes me a massive nerd for the naturey stuff, but I'm really into it. I love it. So enjoy the changing of the seasons. I always think there's something quite hopeful about September. I think that's probably because some of my favourite things are new stationery and new shoes, and that's what always happens in September when you're at school. And I haven't bought any new stationery yet, and it's September, so I may be heading off to Inky Thinking, who've got a new shop, an online shop, to go and buy myself some new special facilitation pens. Very exciting. So I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the week. Remember to watch the space next Wednesday for all of the information about Club WorkJoy, how to join. Come and join us in the club. I'm really excited to see you there. Have a great evening. Bye.